Welcome all of you to this online session. And I want to tell you the most important part is that you will have, even if you have questions or queries, you can please write to us and talk to us over the phone and get them clarified. And you will be given evaluations or assignments that you will have to take seriously. You can do them online, and also you can send us the assignments in hard copy as soon as we are resuming classes originally. Now let's go on to our session on strategic management. As you all know, the strategic management process, I just want to have you to recollect the importance of strategic management and the process which we've already dealt with in the classes. So we've spoken about strategic intent, where you know what the mission of the company or the mission of the business and the objectives of business should be. And next we've dealt with the environment analysis. We've spoken about the micro and macro environmental analysis. In the micro environmental analysis, we've dealt with the SWOT analysis, where you are going to study about the internal strengths of the organization, the weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And in the macro environmental analysis, we've done political analysis, economic analysis, socio-cultural, the technological, legal and environmental ethical features, which are very important for the macro environmental scanning. Now, we've already dealt with all these topics and we've already written the assessment on that. And now we have 3 more topics to be covered in this particular subject. The most important is strategy formulation and choice. Here we are going to talk about the different levels of strategies, which are the business level strategies on one part, the corporate level strategies on the other. For this to understand what strategy can be applied for an organization, you must know what status the organization of the business is in right now. Only then will you be able to understand and provide a best solution as a strategy for the current business operation. Otherwise, it will be a failure. So strategic formulation or choice of a strategy depends on 2 important aspects. You have to understand the current level of the business and then decide on what kind of strategy will be applicable to that particular business. To understand the current level of business, if you can remember, we've already done the BCG matrix, the GE 9-cell matrix, where you know how a business becomes a leader, or if the business needs more investment, or if the business can be wound down, or it can be sold out. So these are the important aspects in strategy formulation. For strategic choice, we are going to talk about the business level strategies, and we'll start with corporate level strategies also today. The next one is strategy implementation. Once the choice is made, you have to talk about implementation. And implementation will be talking about mostly on the resource allocation of a particular organization. By means of resource allocation, we've already dealt with the VRIO scheme, where you have understood whether the resources that which you have had in the organization are very important, valuable, immutable in nature, rare in nature, or well organized so that they support your business organization. Then comes the strategic evaluation, where you assess and control the strategy which you have chosen for the business and continue with it if you want to, or if you have to redo the strategy and stick on to the strategy which is suitable for the organization of your choice. Now let's go on to the next slide. Yes, here we have Michael Porter's generic strategies. By means of generic strategies, I would like to explain that strategies are generally framed on 2 important reasons. One is, or 2 important variants you may call it. One is the low cost, or the next one is the uniqueness of that particular product. What do we mean by low cost? We mean to say that if you can compete in the market, or if a business can compete in the market having the cost of a product very low, it means it can attract a huge number of customers. There's another way to attract customers also, because customers are of varied types and the segments are really different. So here we are also going to talk about the uniqueness, the product uniqueness, or the features of the product which are differentiated from any other product or any other competitor in business. When I'm talking of Michael Porter's generic or general strategies. These are business level strategies. Here you may have, say, for example, Tata Holdings has a lot of businesses. You have Tata Motors, Telco, you have Tata Automobiles, the cars, the middle segment. Then next you have Tata Tea, you have Tata Salt, and so on. But then each particular segment by itself, or each particular business, Tata Tea is a business by itself, Tata Salt is a business by itself. So when I'm talking of Michael Porter's generic or general strategies, I'm talking about one particular business, even if it is from a collaborated or conglomerated market. So when I'm talking of a single business unit, anything that a business can compete on with its competitor is either on low cost or uniqueness of the product. When you compete on low cost, you become, or you choose the strategy as cost leadership. You become a leader in the market by means of cost. So the next one is differentiation, where your product allows, or your product depicts uniqueness in features, or uniqueness in the product itself, or uniqueness in the different ways that the product can serve the customers. That is called differentiation. For example, the example for cost leadership here is Big Bazaar. As you all know, Big Bazaar is a unit of Big Bazaar can offer you a huge range of home need products, and it can offer you at a relatively lower price. Big Bazaar's equivalent in the US is the Walmart, and you know that Walmart can also offer a variety of products at a very low cost to the customers. The most important aspect for differentiation, or the example for differentiation, is all the Apple products, the iPad, the iPod, and whatever you call it, the Macintosh, all of these are excellent in their features. They are the masters in their features, and they have no competition in this regard. And what is more important is the uniqueness that they offer to the customer as the customer wants, or more than what the customer wants. So Michael Porter's generic strategies can be classified into three types, or two types particularly: cost leadership and differentiation. And where they play is also an important aspect, meaning where they are in the market, if it is for a specific market or a broad market. So when I mean to say focus, you can apply cost leadership in a specific market, or you can apply cost leadership in a broader market segment also. So here we are usually associating low cost with low price, or then low cost is usually associated with low quality. But do you think low cost and low quality will succeed in the market? Here, definitely in cost leadership, I want to mention that you cannot be a cost leader. Any business cannot be a cost leader if it is going to compromise on the quality of the product it has to offer. Let's look into what we can see in the next slide. This is what I'm saying. Like, you have to be a competitor, and you have to offer a competitive advantage in the market. Let's go back to the last slide. So here, when I'm talking of cost leadership, I'm also talking of something which is very important. Any business, the motto of any business is making profits. So how do you decide the amount of profit that you could make? Profit is also termed as the superior rate on the investment that you can get from any business. All businesses would like to have superior rates of investment. So when you are a cost leader, you would like to make more profits by selling more products of yours. And similarly, in differentiation, the business also focuses on most of the profits to come into a particular segment. And in the focus strategy, we are talking of niche markets. Niche markets in the sense, they are markets which are specialized segments. And these segments will offer either cost leadership or differentiation. But now, since we know that we are talking on the profits and the return on investments, which are very important, the most important here is competitive advantage. What do I call by competitive advantage? The rate of return on the investment should be greater than what any other competitor can achieve in the market. First thing in business, you have to achieve profits. The second one is the return of investments or the profit should be higher. And how higher is it? It is higher than most of the other players who are also similar to you in the market. And also the rate at which there is a return on the investment, which should also be higher than any other competitor in the market. This is the importance of any business. So when we are competing in a business level, when we are competing on one business, we have to understand that we have to make profits, make more profits, and make more profits at a very small time than any other competitor of ours can do in the product market. So that is called competitive advantage that a particular company or a business of ours can have. This is how we position ourselves in the market. So two different dimensions of competitive advantage. One is the strategic scope, that is, you have to understand which market you are playing in. Either is it a broad market or a narrow market segment. The next one is the strategic strength, which is your core competency. Where are you really very important, or where are you really strong? Meaning, are you cost effective, or meaning you are product effective? So when I'm having this, so this is actually being given in a different form here. The most important, you are competing with the scope and the competitive advantage. You can play industry-wide competition, or you can have it on a smaller segment in the competition. So when you are having low cost as the competitive advantage, you are focusing on cost leadership. And when you are having uniqueness as the importance, or the product features which offer you uniqueness, you're talking about differentiation in that business. And this business is playing countrywide or segment wide in a broader segment. It can go on, excuse me, your internet connection is unstable. So can be on a broader segment, it can go on a, can be used for you products. And when you are targeting on a narrow segment, you can still have focus and and you can also work on the differentiation aspect of it. So you can still work on the differentiation aspect. And now let me tell you about this. See, Baju, there's a accept session coming in. Baju, accept and accept. Continue. Let me start all over again. When we are talking about competitive advantage in business, it is more important for the generic strategies. We're only talking about two important aspects. One is the cost leadership, where you are providing cost efficient products. And one is uniqueness, where you are competing on a different scale, that is by differentiation, by offering products which are of real quality, or products which are unique, which can be offered in the market rather than no other person offering it in the first place. So when we are talking of cost leadership and differentiation, we are talking about the market where we are playing. We are playing in a broad and industry-wide segment where the products can reach out to a large number of customers. But there are also products which are pertaining to a small group or a specialty group that we call the niche market, and this can also focus on low cost and also focus on the differentiation aspect of it. To go further with this, let's talk about cost leadership. The scope of the market is broad and industry wide, and what are we working on as the competitive advantage? We are only talking about the low cost or the low cost leadership, that which we can So low cost provider for a broad customer base, as we've already dealt with. And the next one, meaning no other person, no other competitor in the market should offer the price that you are offering. Otherwise, it becomes easy for the persons to match, and it is easy for the others to going back to our sessions now. So we're talking of cost leadership, and we are talking of low cost provider for a cost broad customer base. And how do we achieve this? So this is by reducing the economic cost that is difficult for the competitors to copy or match. How do we do that? The firm's product should have features and services that buyers consider essential and standard. This is the most important point in low cost leadership. It's what I told you earlier. So we usually associate low cost with low quality. But in that case, you cannot survive the market. It can be for a particular time, but it will soon die out. Any business will soon die out if it does not provide the quality which is as a standard norm. By means of standard here, I mean to say there is a norm which is expected out of a customer in any particular product. If that product, however lower the cost, does not meet the customer's needs, which are essential for him by that product, it is definitely not going to stay in the market. And cost leadership does not compromise on quality. Rather, it provides a standard and essential product, or a standard and essential quality in any product that it has to offer. And most importantly, these low costs should allow them to consistently capture high profits than their competitors. Examples: McDonald's, Big Bazaar in India, the Walmart in the US, etc. As you all know, they are huge markets and they have a huge customer base, but the quality of the products are definitely not different from the quality which is offered in any other selling place. And also, by low cost, we mean low overall cost and not just low manufacturing costs. So to proceed further in cost leadership, we are talking about how cost efficient a business can be. So how can you be cost efficient in business? There are two different ways. One, you only control whatever cost that you are going to incur, or the next one is you make a huge profit than what is going to be achieved. By that way, you can find out the return of investments which are as counted as profits for you in the business. So one of the important reasons here, or what you have to understand by cost leadership, is cost savings. How can cost savings can be done? And as I already told you, cost savings cannot be done only on the procurement part or the manufacturing part. Any business has three important units. The first one is the input of raw materials, the processing, and the output where you get a finished product. By means of cost leadership and cost savings, I mean to say, whatever cost that you are going to put in as the input should be minimized. The processing cost is also to be minimized, and the output will generally be of a cost which has been minimized at the processing and the input. So naturally, the output will be at a lower cost. We are not talking of the quality here. We're only talking about the cost component, where if you're going to input low cost in the input section, in the raw materials or in the procurement or logistics, and also if you're going to control the process of the production by making it huge and make it most efficient, and you will have a product which will serve a standard and a particular efficiency and at low cost. So this is how we term it: controlling production and overhead costs. Overhead costs are costs that we achieve by, or costs that we incur by the logistics, or to bring in raw materials, to store raw materials and all these things. And also the next one is simplifying the production process. As I told you, the process has to be really simplified. To simplify the process, you have to have superior process engineering skills. That means to make the production effective, you also know about the Six Sigma, lean production methods and all these. You have to find out which particular system is particularly working for this small particular business and small unit, and then apply that so that the production process becomes simplified, and then you are able to bank in on that low cost. And then minimizing the cost of production, the sales, the distribution, R&D, and service. Any cost which is associated with business has to be carefully maintained, or it has to be carefully reduced so that you can put it on the product that you are going to give in. So here, by procurement, sales, distribution, R&D, and service, I mean to say all the resources which are involved in the cost: manpower, machinery, the men, and the manpower, machinery, the materials, and the methods. All of these have to be calculated carefully, where everywhere you have to maintain cost reduction, and then you give them a particularly good product of a standard and efficient process. So here, as I say, the most important example is Reliance Jio, and it is a low cost provider for a standard product which is offering a wide range of services which are readily available from the customers from a variety of sellers at a very low cost than the competitors. People were really frightened when Reliance Jio set in, meaning Vodafone and Idea came in together as a merger just because Reliance Jio came in as a low-cost provider. Idea from the Aditya Birla Group in India was selling a particular product for a minimal quantity, or minimum price. But what happened is, once Reliance Jio said he's going to release the product into the market, he was afraid that the cost of the product or cost of Idea is no match to Reliance Jio. So they joined Vodafone in a joint venture, or you call it a merger. And now we have Vodafone Idea India Limited. So such is the efficiency of cost leadership. You can rule out any business in the market once the cost leadership is achieved. But most important, cost leadership can be achieved only by quality. So what most important aspect we can relate to as cost leadership are the economies of scale, are the cost advantages that enterprises obtain due to their large scale of production, with cost per unit of output decreasing with increasing scale. So the reason why we say cost leadership can be suitable only for broad markets is that when you are giving a variety of products or when you are giving a single product to a huge market, the cost of production of each unit can be less or can be lessened if you can find a large number of users for a standard product. There is no change in any of it. All the products are similar and customized, and you can become a cost leader only if you can target a larger, broader segment of the market and you provide more products to the more number of customers. The more you make, the cost of one particular product can come down. That is what we are banking on through cost leadership. One important aspect of cost leadership is economies of scale. So here, low cost strategy can be best if buyers are price sensitive and price competition is vigorous. There are too many products of the same quantity or the quality, and too many players are there in the market. There is huge competition and buyers are price sensitive when the product is a standard product. And the competitors should not be able to match the lower prices that which we are offering in the market, and then it becomes a easy target for us to target the other broader segments. Buyers do not value differentiation. Sometimes buyers do not value differentiation for certain products which are essential for them. All essential needs do not call in for differentiation. And we are very price sensitive when it comes to essential and standard products. Here, the product is standardized and there are a lot of sellers. Why do we mean by there are a lot of sellers? I told you the cost leadership works on a broader segment, and we have to reach out to a large group of customers. How do we reach out to a large group of buyers? We need a large group of sellers to sell the product to the large number of buyers. So we should not worry about too many people playing inside the market. We need all the sellers in the market to sell our products so that we become a cost leader. There are not many ways to differentiate products that provide value to the buyers. By cost leadership, each product should there may be various other products, but then still people come to buy at our places because our products are differentiated by cost. There are buyers in large number, and the last point is buyers find it easy to switch to the other sellers, meaning this is not a negative point. As I told you earlier, there should be lot number of sellers selling the same product to make it easier for the buyer to look for the product rather than switching on to another product. So that is more important in cost leadership. Let's go on to the next strategy, which is differentiation strategy. And how do we classify differentiation? The scope in which we play differently is industry-wide or in a broader market segment. And you have to offer a unique product or a product which is differentiated by its quality or features or anything that you calls for attention by the customer. So how do we define differentiation? Doing something different in the broad market of customers to make them pay more for the products or services. We give them a particular, or we satisfy a particular need of that particular segment or a particular customer, and we get paid for them. So customers really want a differentiated product and they are willing to pay a higher price. When a customer wants a differentiated product or a customized product, which he or she alone will be able to use it, they are willing to pay a price for it. When you say customers are willing to provide or willing to take in differentiation, it means they are of a particular class that they're not worried about the cost of the product. These higher prices allow these companies to consistently capture higher profits than the competitors. All we are worried about how much profit can we make by a small business unit, and in cost leadership, we still make profits because we are serving the large amount of customers, and the profits that we sell by selling large amount of units is going to be higher than the competitors. And in differentiation, even if we sell a definite number of products, we are still making higher profits due to the differentiation in the price, that is because of the uniqueness that the product can offer in the market. For example, there is a section of people, young minds, which can go for Harley Davidson and people are crazy about Apple products. Why? There are these bases of differentiation and the types. See, I told you, Harley Davidson, maybe because of the brand image, and the Apple products are leaders in technology, the methodology, the methods that they use in the systems. The innovation or the design aspects of the products can be basis for differentiation. The features that can be, the features that the product provides, the quality, all of these may be different in differentiation products. The customer service is exemplary in differentiation products. And what some of the types are: one-stop shopping, Amazon.com. It is a differentiated online marketing product. And then you have quality cars. These cars are not lesser in price, but then they talk about quality. They differ in weakness in providing quality cars. So that becomes Toyota. And Mercedes is a leader in engineering design. Then we have something which offers us prestige, the Rolex watches. So when we are talking about competitive advantage, which we are achieving in this strategy, it is competitive advantage through differentiation is sustainable if activities taken to achieve differentiation are rare and costly to imitate. This is very, very important. As I told you, when we are aligning our resources or assessing our resources, we use this strategy to find out whether our resources are really rare, are valuable, are easily imitable to the customer, or very costly and they're very organized such that the competitor cannot imitate. So these are the things. However, Apple's quality or however Apple's features are imitated by the Samsung or Xiaomi or whatever, it is still not as easy to do another kind of an Apple, and Apple can only stay with what it can say. So that is the competitive advantage that is achieved through differentiation. It is really difficult, it is really very rare, and it is very costly to imitate one strategy of Apple. And that is why Apple is a differentiated product in a larger market segment. Firms that succeed in differentiation strategy often have the following internal strengths. As I told you, the firms that have the internal strengths and cost leadership are the production skills, that is production efficient teams or process efficient teams. Here you see there is a huge access to breaking scientific research or research and development, and also highly skilled and creative product development team. There is a strong sales team with the ability to successfully communicate the perceived strength of the product, and corporate reputation for quality and innovation. And this most important point here is whatever we are talking about differentiation is on the product. So the product that is being offered by the particular business unit has to be really top class. And this top class product does not come as easily. And it has a lot of process behind it, where there is a particular R&D team working day and night so that you give breakthrough research. And that's how you succeed in that. Innovation counts, the design counts, the research counts. And these people should be able to successfully communicate through their marketing channels, through their distribution channels. And what they have to advertise is their quality and innovation. So when you can see the differentiation strategy here, it talks only more on the manpower efficiency rather than the product efficiency. Product efficiency is premier, but superior product efficiency is only obtained by superior manpower, which is going to develop the product. And the most important aspect of differentiation is speed or quick response, since any differentiation could be copied by the competitors. As I told you, differentiation strategy involves a lot of money, and the higher profits are achieved only through that particular money segment or the time segment that we are looking on or banking on. And the most important aspect is, as soon as it is released in the market, there is a Samsung or there is a Redmi which can copy the features of Apple. So even before the competitor can look in or copy the product, Apple should have made a particular profit that it will have no loss in its particular strategy. So that is the importance of differentiation strategy. Next is the focus strategy. By means of focus strategy, I mean to say that we are looking at a narrow segment. If we can go to the earlier slides, here I've told you that focus is about narrow segment scope. The competitive advantage is when you focus a particular market, you are only targeting a small segment of market where we should be focusing on the needs of that particular market alone. So focus strategy is talking about the niche market. Niche market is a particular segment of people which can differ from the regular customers or regular market by means of a product line, or they are in a particular geographical area. They are only looking for a particular kind of distribution, channel of distribution that is online nowadays, or it is only a particular type of customer. So when I'm talking about focus strategy, it talks about the scope. Strategy is not focus. The focus is on the small group of customers, or the need is on the niche market segment. That is, focus strategy is that the firm is able to serve its limited segment of customers based on meeting customer needs through differentiation or through low cost. There are only two important strategies. One is differentiation and one is low cost. And it can be on any segment. It can be on a broader segment, or it can be on a lower segment or a smaller segment. And this focus is on the smaller segment of people who still want differentiated products and who still want cost efficient products. So when I'm talking of focus strategy, which costs on low cost focus, here you can see the example here, Indigo. It's a budget airline. It works on the cost advantage in its target segment. The target segment are flyers. They may be frequent flyers or they may not be frequent flyers, but still they are worried about the cost. Even if they are going to pay a high price for the transportation, they are still working on the cost efficiency, and that is how Indigo has banked in on those customers, and these are the budget airlines. OnePlus smartphones are similar in nature, where they do not compromise on the quality, but then their prices are similar to those of the budget cell phones that are made and can offer superior quality. When I mean, if you can see clearly, when I mean this particular focus segment, this is a specialty segment which cannot compromise on the lower target or the higher target. They want specialty, they want differentiation, and they also want low prices. They are price sensitive, and that is where they stay in. And you and the market or the business has to serve these particular customers also. That is why Indigo is looking for low cost target and low cost segment, and also OnePlus smartphones are focusing on the target segments which are looking for low cost and also higher differentiation. And the next one is when it is focused, there is a focus group which is looking for differentiation in its products, and that is they are seeking uniqueness. These are generally the specialty groups, or these are the groups which are least vulnerable to substitutes or where competitors are weaker. They definitely do not want any substitute for the product, or you may call them the luxury segment. Or for example, you have the Porsche, the sports car segment here, and the Rolls-Royce. These are the luxury segments. These are very small segments of customers, but then they do not worry about the pricing at all. They are very, very differentiation focused. They want the best product in the market, and they are willing to pay any amount of money for the product because they do not want substitutes in the market. I hope I'm clear. I mean, I have clearly explained, and then you've understood this particular strategy. So when I'm talking of general strategies, we are talking about strategies where we can make profits. And how do we make profits? We can look at this summary here. Cost leadership. What do we need for cost leadership? We should have process engineering skills, the product design, which is very, very, very cost efficient and easy for manufacturing. And there is a consistent capital investment. Also, the organizational requirements are, you have to control cost and everything. You have to be a very structured organization to control costs, and you have quantitative targets, meaning your customer base should be larger in number so that you sell larger number of products. You reach out to larger number of buyers. By means of differentiation, I mean to say you have product engineering skills, because how different are you going to be in the business is only based on the product that you're going to give the customer. And the product should have creativity, quality, technological leadership, and all this. How can you achieve all this in the company? As you work for the company, all the manpower, the money, the marketing, and all of these should be in qualitative measures. You have to really give the efficient and effective work in the organization. Only then you can give a product which is really differentiated in the market. There's again, in the focus segment, you can look for cost advantage in technical leadership in a particular target segment, and you can also combine both. You can have cost advantage in one segment and also leadership in differentiation in the other segment. Here, so generic strategies in general talk about how much profit you are going to make as a competitor to any other competitive producer or seller in the market. So now let's go on to the grand strategies. These are also called as corporate level strategies or master strategies. We've been talking about two different kinds which are very important: cost leadership and differentiation as small business strategies. But businesses don't remain the same. As I told you, businesses grow. Tata Holdings has a huge number on huge variants of business. Reliance Group has huge variants in business. Reliance Petrochemicals is there, Reliance Trends, Reliance Retail, Reliance Supermarkets, all of these are there. Each of it is a separate unit, and the Reliance Industries spends or invests on each of these holdings as a separate unit. And how does it thrive as a single or a corporate particular in the corporate level? That is where these strategies set in. You may call these corporate strategies as master strategies or grand strategies, because there is a classification where you can divide them into these many types. One is you grow, the next one the company is made stable, the other one is retrenchment or turnaround. You don't want to invest any further in that particular company. And then there is a combination where you mix two different strategies, and then you are able to help the market. So, or you are able to sustain in the market. The most important aspect of business is sustainability. And sustainability can be achieved only by the competitive advantage that you can offer as a particular business. So when I'm talking of growth strategies, we are talking of how we grow over or expand in size. We are talking of only expansion of that particular business. And then when we're talking of stability, there is always a life cycle for a product. So there is a growth strategy and there is a decline strategy. There is somewhere where we are stable. So this particular strategy talks about how businesses can be stable and what should you do when businesses are stable. What should our investment be when our businesses are stable? So there's a retrenchment or, excuse me. It's just gone. Oh. There is a retrenchment or a negative trend where you really don't want to do that business because the business is a failure. You want to cut out all this, and then you can still count on other businesses by making a combination. Let's go into only the growth strategy today because of limited time. So again, the growth strategy can be by means of 4 different types. One is concentration. The next one is product development. One is market development and diversification. By means of all these, we're only talking about how are you growing? Is it your growth through the product or growth in the market? So you can either grow in the existing market. You are already there in a particular market and you have a product. So if you are running the business in a particular market and in a particular you are giving that existing product there, how do you grow in that? So the next one is, we're talking about concentration. How do we concentrate? That is, you're already there in a particular market with a particular product which is existing in the market. How do you grow further? That is market penetration, selling more products in the existing markets to the same target customers. We are already into a particular market and we have a same group of customers, but then we are going to increase the customer base. This is a very low risk strategy. Existing customers, we are making them buy more. The aim is to increase market share. We want to have more customers to give us more profits. Example, lifestyle stores, Reliance Retail, all of these are opening up number of outlets in Chennai, and they are making their websites more user-friendly, secure, and all these things. And they're giving attractive loyalty rewards, the discounts on repeat purchases. This is where a particular company focuses on the existing market. It does not give you a new product. It does not go into another market. It is still opening its markets in Chennai, but it is opening it to a large group of customers, making the customer broad ranged. And this is here clearly given as not doing anything significantly different to widen the range of existing products. Nothing is done in the product wise. The next one is you have an existing market, but then you have a new product to be given to the market. That is product development. That is selling new products to existing markets. And this is a medium risk strategy. And how do you give a new product? So if you can increase the product line, when Reliance is opening, it's for females, and you can also open a store for the kids. So a lot of R&D has to come in, insight into customer needs, sell to an existing customer base, involves licensing, joint ventures, etc. This is the example is Hyundai introducing Kona, the electric car. Hyundai is already into an existing market with an existing product. What has Hyundai to offer as a new product? Hyundai offers Kona, which is an electric product, and it has the advantage of giving it to its own customers. So that is what we call by product development. So the most important aspect in product development is there is the first mover advantage, because you become the first in the market to release any new product into the market. So Hyundai is the first company to release Kona or the electric car before competitors copy the idea and get into the existing customer base. Customers who are buying Hyundai today, tomorrow may look for some other car or Maruti because of its price variant. But if they are still looking for Hyundai only, it is not easy for them to leave out Hyundai. So what does Hyundai bank upon? Their customer base, their customer loyalty. And so it provides that particular customer it provides something to retain that customers, and it provides all that the customer wants through development of a new product. The next one is you sell a new you sell an existing product which is already there into a new market. This is also one important aspect where a particular business can grow. Now you have people here, now you may have opened a business in Chennai. You can do it in other different geographical place. So that's what we call by moving into a new market. A logical strategy when existing markets are saturated or in decline. So reaching out to new geographical markets. Example, same product exporting to emerging markets. For example, the L'Oreal products in India. L'Oreal is a product from the France, but then we have the products in India which are suitable to Indian customers. So that is the same product which comes to an emerging market in India. So it has come to a new geographical location, and finding new customers through new distribution channels. You still have a lot of distribution channels which are reviving today, and then we didn't just go on, and then we do it through new distribution channels. One is online shopping. The next one is different pricing policies to attract new customers in different segments. That is Starbucks in India. Starbucks is not originally an Indian company, but then you have a different pricing policy, and which can be started in India, and it attracts a particular customer base in India. More often risky than product development, particularly expansion in India. If you can see clearly, we are talking about one product which is already looking for customers from another market. that is from another geographical segment. So that is an international market also. So it becomes very difficult for us to go and understand the international customer and then suit our products accordingly. So the last one is diversification. Diversification is entry into new business segment, providing a new product. So for capitalizing on organizational strengths and minimizing weaknesses, how can you diversify a product? Only if you have a new product with this worth diversification, if it's really worth the differentiation, and if you are really strong in finding out a new product. See, existing business blocked by environmental or regulatory factors may be one of the reasons. You may not be able to do it in the Himalayas because Himalayas does not give you any regulatory license there, taking advantage of changing trends and demands of the market. ITC is diversifying into hotel business, paper business, agriculture, etc. because it finds some scope in offering new products to new markets, and it has to make money out of that. So some of the acquisitions and mergers are important diversification strategies. Zomato acquiring Uber Eats, both of them are in the same segment and same market, and now they are only coming together and then acquiring the other to give a new particular product or a new particular way in making profits for that particular company or the business. So this is to summarize. We've already dealt with generic strategies, and in the grand strategies, we've dealt the growth strategy, where we are growing by expansion or concentration. We are expanding the lines of business in the existing market itself, or we are integrating our business into the other new market. We are providing a diversified product, that is a new product in a new market segment. It can be through cooperation, I told you. You can have licensing products, you can have joint ventures, you can have acquisitions and mergers. The most important aspect is when you are concentrating on all these, you have to either internationalize your product, or now is the trend on digitalization, where you have to bank on all this so that we compete with the other markets. Growth is very important for any organization because it is where the organization can make profits and make money for its own business. This is a master or a grand strategy which applies to a collaborated market rather than a single business unit.